Welcome to my presentation about the influence of Generation Z in cultural and creative industries. My name is Juan Villanova, and I am the Director and Senior Consultant of Elea Desarrollo. This consultancy firm has been hired by Avilés City Council to perform the study work, identification of new recipients and new audiences niches within 4H Create project. A link to the full version of the report is available in the description below. In this presentation, I will try to summarize some topics about the concept and main features of Gen Z. Based on that, I will highlight the main challenges for cultural and creative industries in order to capture the attention of Gen Z, not only as potential consumers, but also as employees or entrepreneurs. Finally, I will present a selection of examples of good practices, or perhaps I prefer to call them smart links between cultural and creative industries and Gen Z. When talking about Gen Z, we refer to people born approximately from 1994 to 2010. That means these people are currently either teenagers, young students, or young people in their first years of professional life. Well, in order to address the main features of Gen Z, I will use the 5I and 5C approach. According to this, Gen Z can be described by 10 main characteristics divided in 5 couples. And in each couple is defined like in 2 words whose initials are I and C. Well, let me clarify that the letters I and C correspond to the words in Spanish. Once we translate it into English, not in all cases is like that, as you can see in the slide. But well, let's start with the first couple, influence and connectivity. In fact, Gen Z is considered much more influent as compared with previous generations. In families, for example, most of parents, as you can see in the slide, consider that they have very significant influence in aspects like purchasing decisions or vacation place choice. Yeah, this is a first important clue for any company, and particularly for cultural and creative industries. To gain Gen Z as clients will be a main driver if they want to be competitive. Yeah, besides, people of Gen Z are the first to be considered as digital natives. They have grown up permanently connected. For example, a 16-year-old boy or girl is capable of watching a documentary in a streaming platform while chatting in the mobile phone and at the same time using the laptop for some academic tasks, while his or her parents look at that multitasking picture with a mixture of skepticism and growing amazement. Yeah, again, cultural and creative industries have to be aware of that and take profit from it. Immediacy is another important feature of Gen Z. They care for here and now. If I can have it at a click, I am interested, otherwise, probably not. And so in many aspects of their life, such as education, leisure, work, if they feel that they will not achieve their goal soon, they will just shift the strategy. They also tend to be creative. Yeah, having grown up in close contact with video games, they feel the challenge to achieve like the next screen level. And that often implies a driver or breeding ground for skills related to innovation and entrepreneurship. Perhaps this C is the most irreverent generation in history. Though family values are important for them, they don't consider parents as sacred guides. Well, in the case of parents, that natural rupture in certain ages could be similar as compared to other generations. But the point of Gen Z is that they also refuse to consider teachers, experts as wise guys that necessarily hold the truth of anything. For them, knowledge is something just accessible. And any opinion, rule, assessment, or advice needs to be contrasted. This irreverent attitude to the traditional education system favors the search for new learning methods, more based like in vocational experiences. Not only in education, these people really seek the change. They want to impact somehow in society with their lifestyle, work and leisure with friends. They are open-minded and more inclusive and tolerant as compared to previous generations. Also more concerned about environmental and other social issues. Okay, and based on what we have said and trying to summarize, what are the main challenges for cultural and creative industries if they really want to take profit from the influence of Gen Z? Well, let's see. First of all, and in general terms, the product or service offered should connect as directly as possible with the preferences of Gen Z as consumers, and in some cases also as potential employees, developers, or entrepreneurs. Besides, the product or service should be accessible through internet, taking advantage from the permanent and multitasking connectivity. As for innovation, we can assure that the more innovative the product or service is, certainly the better. It will also help if it contributes to build networks in an open-minded and multicultural basis. Another point is consumer won't only need to enjoy the product or service, they will also appreciate to feel some challenge when consuming it. Furthermore, the inclusion of contents related to justice, social inclusion, equity, and environmental concern will also enhance the satisfaction of those young clients or employees. And very important, they need to feel free to choose from a wide variety of prices and other optional attributes, and never feel subject to long-term compromises. In the next slides, I will present a selection of 5 examples of cultural and creative industries that integrate clearly at least some of these aspects. In the full study, you can find up to 20 of these examples of what I call smart links between cultural and creative industries and Gen Z. The first example is probably the most obvious. In the case of video games industries, it's quite clear the link with Gen Z. It's just a product that clearly captures the attention of digital natives and matches their preferences. Gen Z young people are not only a target for the video games industries as consumers, but also as developers and entrepreneurs. Moreover, in this case, we are talking about a cultural and creative industry that is quite consolidated and spread. Well, let's shift to other kind of leisure activities. The second example is about freak festivals. We are talking here about events whose contents have to do with characters of certain movie sagas like Star Wars, Harry Potter, also with comic, manga, video games too. One can find there many young cultural influencers like YouTubers, gamers, and cosplayers. Freak festivals are clearly oriented to young people. In fact, the majority of the activities that take place there are completely unknown for, let's say, people over 40 years old. In Asturias, the region where I live, we have 3 renowned freak festivals: CometCon in Oviedo, Metrópoli in Gijón, and Celsius 232 in Avilés. This is known as the Freak Triangle in Asturias. In the previous slide, I have mentioned cultural influencers as participants in trade festivals, but a cultural influencer can be considered as an economic actor itself, because Gen Z young people will pay attention to them in social networks. They may not follow all their advices, but still their influence will be higher than the one generated by classic marketing. Well, and besides the consideration of cultural influencer as an activity itself, in any case, the rest of cultural and creative industries should focus in influencer marketing when they target Gen Z. Escape rooms are a leisure offer with growing acceptance, and particularly among young people. Some escape rooms in many cities base their enigmas in cultural or artistic subjects, but in any case, the initiative could be considered as a cultural and creative industry itself, no matter what the escape room theme is about. Escape rooms are like video games without screen. In fact, the idea is inspired by a type of video games defined as escape the room style. The component of challenge makes them attractive and bring the culture closer to the Gen Z people. And let me finish with an example that may surprise you. Yeah, it is true that streaming platforms like Netflix, HBO, Spotify for music, and so many others can be considered nowadays as quite spread, consolidated, and well, they certainly reach audiences of all ages. But the point here is who brought them in? For example, why do I pay for Netflix in my house? Well, I do it because some years ago my teenage children gave me no other option. Basically, it was just stupid to watch TV in the old style way. Yeah, in fact, streaming platforms integrate almost all key features for attracting Gen Z. Let's see. They guarantee online availability in any device, phone, tablet, laptop, smart TV. There is a wide variety of offer, documentaries, serials, movies. In fact, they represent one of the best examples of immediacy satisfaction. I want to watch this movie here and now. There is also flexibility in terms of languages, original versions, titles, and so on. And the price is quite competitive and normally is not subject to long-term compromises. Now, with this last example, and as a conclusion, I would like to highlight that cultural and creative industries need to target Gen Z not only because this generation represents 25% of the world population, but also because their influence in the other 75% is remarkable. And that's all. Thank you very much for your attention. I will be available to answer any questions you may have on the topics discussed in this presentation at the 4H Create Capitalization webinar. Details are available in the description below.